welcome to my channel today. I am going to do a swap with Kathleen's Sundby, and I'm just sorting out what I'm going to use to make for her journal. And I recalled a few people saying they enjoyed watching the beginnings of my journey into journal making, what I gather together, and the decisions and thoughts that go through my head as I decide what it is that I'm going to make. So I thought I might bring you along for the ride with this one too, and just show you what my plan of attack is for this lovely journal that I'm going to be swapping with Kathleen. And I'd like to do something, of course, that Kathleen would love. So I've started with her favourite colour, which is often an easy place to start if you happen to know the colours that the person really likes. And I know that Kathleen really loves this turquoise colour and the colours that go along with what I call the peacock colours. So the lovely turquoise, blues, and those beautiful greens and jades and lovely purples that mix together and blend with this. So I started with this lovely, it's actually a pillowcase that I've recycled, but it's got a lot of lovely texture through it. And I know that one of the things that Kathleen likes when she makes her journals is to have layers and texture. So I've got a good starting point. I've got three things. I've got a colour, I've got layers, and I've got texture. So from there I thought I'd build up, not knowing a lot of what Kathleen likes, because I can't go back and look through her lovely videos and I can't remember everything. I do know she has two beautiful doggies, so I'll be trying to incorporate those somewhere in the mix. But for a base to bounce off, I thought, being peacock colours, of course obviously it lends itself to peacocks, and I had a kit that I put together where I am like a bowerbird and I tend to collect all the colours that go together. So I had this lovely little collection here that had all these beautiful colours, the turquoises, the aqua colours, the purples, and even a bit of gold that had sort of peacock feathers, these lovely peacock feather prints. And I thought that will give me something to bounce off to and get some colour happening. So from there, of course, I bought in some peacock serviettes that had lovely peacocks, and I thought they would make lovely tags. So I thought I could use the peacocks off those to make some really nice tags with. So that was one thing. And then I thought, what am I going to use for my papers? A lovely digital kit that would work well with this. And I had a look at the gorgeous kits that I had available to me, and one of them was this lovely Mrs. Cogs collection, which is a peacock journal. And the funny thing was, it had this cognac little advertisement on the corner which says Cognac Jacques et, and I know that one of Kathleen's dogs is called Jacques, spelt the French way. So I thought that's a nice little just tip to him. So I might put that in there. And she has, I might not use them all because it's quite a big kit and there's some lovely, beautiful things in here. She has put together quite a nice kit that has a lot of interesting peacock stories and beautiful ladies with peacock feathers. Really nice. So I thought that might be an option. At the moment I'm just throwing my options around, so who knows what I'll end up with. I also wanted to put in something that was very Tasmanian, and so I know that Kathleen's going to put in some beautiful vintage butter papers, which I took a liking to on her channel. So later on I'll show you some lovely apple labels that I've collected, which are purely a Tasmanian sort of icon here. They are collector's items, and I thought she'd really like something vintage like that from here. as her journal's coming from Tasmania, I thought it'd be nice to have a little bit of a nod to Tasmania. I also have this lovely decoupage paper with beautiful butterflies on it, and I thought that would make a lovely base for a tag. So it's a really nice sort of tissue paper. It's Santoro London butterfly paper, and I thought that would be really nice to make some tags with. Again, it's got a nice texture to it, and I know that's one thing Kathleen loves in her journals, is to have different textures. I have this lovely paper which I've used before, which is handmade paper, and that is very Australian. It's made from wombat dung, which is a process that it's a bit like elephant dung paper that we use instead. The wombats here in Tasmania, because we have lots of wombats. So that's a lovely, really thick textured cardstock. So that is some idea of papers. I also have some nice fabrics in amongst this that I thought would be nice. And sticking with the greens and blues, I had this beautiful batik fabric with some lovely elephants on, so I'd really like to get some of that in somewhere, because I know that Kathleen is a bit of a batik fan. She likes that boho kind of look as well, and so does my cat Ollie, who's sneaking inside there. So that's something I picked out. I'd also picked out this, I know she likes neutral colours and things, so I've got this lovely tablecloth which is very vintage and aged. So I thought I could use that in the mix. It already has lots of lovely vintage fading colours to it. A bit of cheesecloth there. I've got a few little bits from one of Boho Daydreams kit that had some lovely greens and blues in it, which I thought might bring the boho theme in somewhere with the peacock colours, and a lovely daisy there. So I thought it's possible that I might be able to bring these in. I mean, that's that lovely, lovely colour that she so likes. And this one too. I'm sure that there are spots that I'd be able to use these lovely textures and different weights of fabric. This one's a really fine, very lightweight fabric. So we've got a little bit of everything there. Also got this lovely piece here, which is quite colourful, so if I need to add a bit of colour in, I've got that. So that is my thoughts on that. I've got a beautiful piece of wallpaper, which I really do love, this coloured wallpaper. So that's the lovely wallpaper I had that is in that sort of nice turquoisey colour. I thought I'd add that to the mix. I've got some, sorry about the noise there, I've got some lovely ribbons, sari silk ribbons there in those nice colours, and that will blend in really well. I've got some lovely bias ribbon there in similar colour. So I'm sure I won't be using all of this stuff, but maybe a little bit here and there. Got some nice neutral laces and some pearls and things for decorating. So I'm like a bowerbird. I collect up all this stuff, and then I have some nice things to choose from. Some lovely doilies and that really nice piece of ladder trim, which just happened to be all the right colours, so I thought that's got to go in somewhere. I always use some stamps, quite often bird stamps, so I might find something that works really well there. What bits and pieces do we have? All kinds of, there's a really cute little bag there with some gold on it, and the gold tends to work really well with that colour, so that might be something I might use. So again, it's all part of the thought process. So here we have some lovely papers. I've got flowers, little flowers here dropping out. So I know Kathleen likes to add flowers to things, so they might go in. I've got a beautiful little pair of tags there that are just the right colour. I don't know if the colour's actually coming up on the camera as well. I'm not sure if you're seeing the colour as well, but it's a really beautiful turquoise colour there. So there are those. Another piece of lovely wallpaper there. And this is handmade paper with a butterfly in the corner there. It's got some lines on it. It's a really nice texture. So I may use that. I may use book pages, you never know. All sorts of papers and textures that might go well. I've got some textured wallpaper there, which is one of those wallpapers that you paint, so that might work well. So there's quite a nice collection. There's some lovely handmade paper there that I've made myself, and that comes in 2 weights. There's a really thick one and a much thinner one, depending on what I'm going to do with it, whether it's going to be a large area or maybe I want to collage with something a little bit lighter. So that's that. I've got some lovely dyed, cabbage dyed doilies there that I thought might work. So you're really getting my thought process here. A lovely little bag that's been dyed with cabbage as well, so you've got that sort of turquoisey green look through it. Okay, we're getting down to the nitty gritty now. We've got all kinds of things. Here is my apple label that I was talking about. I might have to zoom back out a bit so you can see that, because it's might be too close in. Let's see. Ooh, can we zoom out? Might have to go up a little bit. Let's see. There we go. I'm taking you right up there so you can see these. They're rather large labels. This one, probably if you folded in half, would fit in a journal. But they are what used to go on the apple cases, and most of them are quite old. They're not new ones, so they are the collector's vintage type ones. This one is for pears. I have some others for apples, and a few different family names too, that different people that were involved in the apple and pear industry at the time. So we have that. We have some more of that lovely handmade paper with the butterflies on it. So there's some of that there that's lovely. I also have been working on a snippet roll piece for Kathleen, because I know how much she loves her snippets. So I've started on that. I haven't finished it yet. I've got a little way to go, but it just gives you an idea of the base that I'm working on. I've layered up a lot of laces and some bits and pieces there for my groundwork, and I've put handmade with love on the bottom there. So this is the basis that I'll be working on to add to. There's quite a few different laces on that piece, and some bits of crocheted sort of fabric as well, and I've added in the little bits of turquoise ribbon to give it a little bit of colour. So that's, I'm not sure how well you can see that there, but it's quite a long one, so I'll be working on that for her. I have these gorgeous papers from Susan Taylor Brown Poppiness, which has her initials on it, K and S, and I just love this particular set. It really is quite nice to use in the journals, and it just gives you an idea of how big they are. Really quite big. They're quite large, these, and they take up quite a bit of space, but you can shrink them down and make them sort of smaller sizes, these ones. I've also got this lovely paper here which is quite ancient. I'm not sure of the year, but I know it's very, very old, and this is from a Bible. I think it's from a Bible or a prayer book, because I know that Kathleen likes her the Christian life, it says at the top. I know that she likes her religious papers and things, and that she wouldn't be offended by having that in there, so I'm going to add some of that. What else do we have here? Got lots of papers. I've got a very old music book here, which I think was from 1930. No, this one's 1904, so this one's very, very old. And I know she does love her music paper, so I thought I'd add that into the mix. There, it's called Fairy Waves. Fairy Baroque, Fairy Bark, something like that. Very old. October the 4th, 1904. And I've got some old letters, some digitals of some old letters I might use. Some neutral fabric, because she likes her neutral pages as well. Lovely peacock. Some more birds from Susan Taylor Brown. Has a peacock on it too, so that's a Poppiness digital. We've got the Poppiness birds there, and these birds here, thought I might add some birds on some tags and things. So those ones are from Rachel from Roxy Creations. Got a lovely piece of tissue paper there to give texture and nice sound as you turn the pages. Of course there'll be tea or coffee dyed pages. There's a lovely page here with a little dog on it. I was trying to find a papillon kind of dog, and they are really quite difficult to find. So, and I'm not really sure what little Jacques looks like, so I thought maybe it might look a little bit like this dog, I'm not sure. So I thought I'd put him in, and then I've got this lovely German Shepherd for Miller to pop in there as well, because that's just the most loving pose for a German Shepherd. And those lovely ones come from Mrs. Cogs Crafts. I have this beautiful set of peacocks from Vintage by Me, which I thought would be great for collaging, so I will do some collage tags or something similar with those. And I think they've got the months on them, so they're obviously calendar type, as well as the peacocks, of course. Beautiful peacocks on them. There. So magically I've gone away and done a little bit of work on the cover. So we now have the cover made, so I thought I'd come back and show you that. And I know that Kathleen likes things to be just a little bit different, a little bit arty, a little bit skew-if maybe, and not perfectly straight. She likes her things to look a little bit different, and she likes to place things sort of on an angle. So I have come at this from a different perspective to what I normally would, which is great because it's really testing me out and giving me a little challenge to step outside the circle that I normally work within. So this is what I've ended up with the cover. I started with the pillowcase, which was textured fabric that we began with, and then I added this lovely doily, which is just so gorgeous, and it's so big. So this is a really big cover for a journal. It's much bigger than I normally do, and even though I have washed these very delicately, it still has some natural staining on it, which is lovely. It's come through and given it that nice little aged appearance to it. On the front I have put a peacock which come from Digital Curio, and the colours in that just seem to be just perfect for that particular piece of fabric. So I've used that. I've stitched on by hand all of this. This is applique here that I've stitched around by hand, and it just gave it that little bit of bling there to lift it out. I've put some sari silk ribbon which I've runched here, and I've machine sewn around this layering here. I've layered it up. I've got a very heavy textured piece of fabric underneath there. It's not a linen, it's, oh, I don't know what you'd call it. It's quite a heavy piece of fabric, and on top of that I've layered some really light weight fabric, which is sort of a soft musliny cheeseclothy type fabric, and I've stitched around that twice because I know that Kathleen really likes to have her sewing sort of, she does one straight and then one sort of wonky stitch to give that kind of look, so I've done that for her. And I've also added this really lovely antique brooch to the end, which is a very much a peacock coloured stoned brooch. Actually, I think it's a hair barrette, so you could take it off and use it in your hair if you wanted to. And it's quite colourful. It's got some diamantes in there, and it's really quite sparkly and picking up the light and those peacock colours. So I added that to the cover. So that's the cover I'm starting with from there, and I've made a few little bits and pieces of ephemera, which I haven't quite finished, but it'll give you an idea of where my thoughts are and where I'm going. So I've done this little envelope flip, which was an idea I got from watching two ladies, Carol Laws and Rachel from Roxy Creations. I think she was the first one to do it, and Carol followed her. So I watched both of those ladies, so the idea came from them. I've used that lovely collage paper that I mentioned earlier from Vintage by Me. I've added a little cutout bird, which is from Rachel. I've added a little envelope that I've tucked in there and a tag. And I've just added a little peacock feather to that to bring in the colours of the peacock. A nice little Australian stamp with a butterfly and a button. So that's a little floating envelope. It has a fairy on the back, which is a washi sticker. So that's that one. I've also made these lovely little bookmark sort of pockets. And those I got from following the other Carol, Carol Parker, and she did, she's from Oakhouse Journals, and she did this lovely idea, and I thought, well, that's really quite clever. So I've added some lovely, there's an Australian Tasmanian tiger Australian stamp in there. I'm not sure how well you can see him. He might be a little bit hard to see on the film, I'm not sure. He's very small. So that will again bring in the Tasmanian theme so that she remembers where it came from. And then I have these lovely ones with Mrs. Cogs Crafts tags poked in. And these are gorgeous, and they have a peacock theme running through them. And they're on, I really love that one. She's beautiful, gorgeous lady with a peacock in the background. And so this little pocket has many little places to tuck things, as you can see, but it's quite slim, so it will go in anywhere. So I did make a few of those. I made a lovely tag, a beautiful flower tag, and the flower was gifted from a friend in my group. That lovely little one. Some lovely little flowers there that we might use somewhere. So I made that. I've also made this piece of ephemera here, which is one of my crazy envelopes I make, and I got that from following Jibid Neary very early in the piece, and I've always made them since because I just loved that idea so much. So it has a piece of just thread wool fibre, the eyelash trim, to tie it to keep it closed. But it's so soft it comes off really easy, and you can just flip it open like that. And it has the stained glass window look with the vellum that I've just sprayed with some Tim Holtz colours, and I use the peacock colours in that. I've used a little tag from Poppiness, so a Susan Taylor Brown. She has like little poems and sayings and things, so I've used that, and some book page, and I've just sewn it all together. And inside I put this dear little house because I thought that was so cute. I love making those, so I've matched that up with the paper from the peacock page on the front, and on the back it says house. And I've used some washi tape and some string and some sari silk, so I've got washi tape here. So that's a cute little house, so that goes in the envelope. So that will give you an idea of where I've started at. I have tried to put some pages together. I've started with the peacock pages, and I haven't done a lot at this point in time. I've collected some feathers from outside in my garden, And these feathers have a really nice glimmer to them because they are from a pigeon that we have in our garden, and it's called a bronze-winged pigeon. So underneath the wings there's this very bronze colour in the feather, which is almost glistens like the peacock feather. It's very pretty, so I'm not sure if you can see that, but trust me, it's there. I've used some cabbage dyed cardstock there, and a lavender flower from my garden also. I've cut the pages so they kind of drift outwards, because I know that when Kathleen does hers, she has this wonderful way of layering her pages, and as much as I try, I cannot recreate that, but I did my best. I have a lovely little collage that I've done here on the side, and just to give you just a quick through, I mean we will go through it properly later. I've used some piano paper here to make a little pocket. I've put some little snippets on the sides. I've hand sewn this gorgeous little cup and saucer tag to go in there with the colours of the peacock, and I've got a sort of hessian pocket kind of laid out there, and I probably will add more as I go. This is just the basis that I'm working on. I did this lovely page which is layered with all different. I've added some Australiana here, so we've got a nice little koala pocket, just as a little gentle reminder that it came from Australia, in case she forgets. I've got a handmade bookmark that I've made here, where I've sprayed the little pussy tails there, so it's got some little wooden beads on it. It's layered up with a little Tracy label and some washi there, so that's a nice little bookmark there. Another little koala there. Got a big pocket here that I've left sort of hanging out the edge, filled with bits and pieces. It has a lovely little paper bag. Got this nice little tag in with lots of layers, and I've put stitched a little cross, as I think I followed Kathleen making this tag when she was doing some of hers, so I made it Australian. I've put an Australian possum on there so that it's kind of a little bit of her and a little bit of me. So that goes in the little paper bag at the back there. I've got a little paint chip there, which I've put some hearts and ribbon on, and a dear little envelope. That tucks in there. And we've got one of the cut out birds on the piece of fabric that has the peacock feathers on it in yellow, so we've got that there. A little bit of collage on a piece of piano paper. So this is kind of just where I've started. This is what I'm bouncing off. I've done a little collage here with some velvet, blue velvet, little flower, and just a little cluster on the bottom there. So that is a little tuck spot that you can tuck something in. This might all change, of course, but this is my beginning, my start, just to show you how I get started on a project. Here we have one of the lovely labels. This is one of the apple labels, and because this apple label was so large, I have folded it down because it was bigger than the other labels. I'll just show you because I haven't sewn it together. So I collaged the back, and I've collaged that with the papers that I showed you earlier, the beautiful Vintage by Me peacock papers, and put a little tab on it. I've used some music paper there, and as you can see, that's how big that one is. It's just quite large to fit in there, and I wanted to be careful where I folded it so you could still read the Tasmania, Australia bit and see the lovely peacock. So I've made that kind of wrap around the insert, which is this piece here, and I've made a little tuck spot there, and that's a fold over, wrap over piece, so it's on both sides. I've used a piece of that gorgeous fabric from Boho Daydreams little collection there. I've tucked in a little label and a piece of, or another piece of lavender from the garden there. So what else have I done? Oh, I used some of that lovely sari silk ribbon with the gold flowers on as a trim there above a peacock pocket, and here I've sewn on a teardrop, and I've used the same stained glass effect that I used before on the envelope. So it's vellum and I've sewn it into the paper, so you've got like a window there that you can see through, and behind that we've got another one of the peacocks that's on the cover. Got a lovely piece of vellum there with some old-fashioned lace and alphabet on there. Got peacocks. There's the wallpaper I decided to make into a pocket, so you can see that. Here I've made a beautiful tag using Kathleen's lovely tops that she has on her tags. I really like the way she made those little pinned tops, so that's my version of that. That is the peacock serviette that we had earlier. The napkin, I've taken the peacocks off that, and I've embossed the cardstock and sewn around it as well. So I made that nice tag there to go in. I've also picked out this lovely tag that I made from the 52 tags challenge that I had been doing, because it had that lovely cross on it, and I thought that blended in well with the papers that I showed you earlier. So I'll put that in somewhere. We have this lovely bee envelope. Now this came with a beautiful stamp that I bought from Tailor-Made Journals, and it was just so good that I wanted to reuse it because she'd done such a nice job with her bees on the front, and it says Merci on the back, French. So I thought that would appeal. So that's a lovely little envelope that you can add something to, the beautiful bees. So that just tucked in there quite nicely. We have a butterfly on the back of this gorgeous piece of vellum paper, which has a nice feel and texture. It's very heavy vellum. I've added an Australian possum here, brushtail possum. Another little bit of my backyard going over. So there we have another snippet hanging off the bottom, little collage piece, and I put some of this really nice boho patterned fabric on the back there, which is really nice. It has that lovely turquoise colour in it, but it also brings in some other colours that I haven't had in there before, and I thought that went really well with the colours that were in that lovely peacock, so I've put her in there. So that's really nice. So that gives you some idea of where I'm at. I have made a start. I'm moving along, and I'll come back when I've got some more to show you, but I just thought I'd give you an idea of how I start, and even though it probably seems like a bit of a confused mess, it somehow pulls together and becomes a beautiful journal in the end. So thank you very much for watching today, and I'll be back in no time at all to show you where we go from here and what the next step will be. See you soon. Bye for now.